She yelled at the bartender, "Give me a fucking gin and tonic and a goddamn root beer from my freak of a friend over here." "Fiora, are you alright?" "It's Angry Hour, Scott. You get $1 off your drinks if you order in your finest angry voice." I giggled the way you're supposed to giggle at kids at a theme park. It didn't strike me when Trent mentioned an angry hour. It would actually be an angry hour. "Fiora," I said, "yeah, you can use my real name if you want." "Sure thing, Sakit." Chapter 6. Thomas Foolery's business model was simple. Nostalgia. It linked fond memories of childhood to an adult world without rules. You could raise your voice without getting punished, sketch your night away and erase it with a few shakes or shots, play pinball on a buzz, or hop some scotch and drink it too. For better or for worse, that strategy was never going to work on me. My childhood sucked. Thomas Foolery brought me back to my worst days, when the playground was a war zone. Like any post-trauma victim, I had blocked out most of my memories, but I remember bits and pieces. The name-calling, for instance. Suck It was the best and most popular. Sucker Punch was a close second. There were plenty of other names: nerd, wimp, immigrant, terrorist, bookworm, teacher's pet, goody two-shoes. I got made fun of for listening to different music, eating different types of snacks. I got pushed off the jungle gym by Jack Vance in the 3rd grade, and I scraped the mulch off of my bleeding arms and legs and looked up as his crew just snickered, feeling nothing, because I'd come to expect it all. I could try erasing my failures, but I couldn't erase my insecurities. Places like Thomas Fuller brought them back in powerful snippets, like the flakes of raisin bran when I leave at the bottom of the bowl. The shitty parts of my past were always going to be there with me. My life was a clusterfuck of reminders. "I like this place," Fiora said, walking back from the bar with our drinks. She handed me my root beer and took a prolonged sip of her gin and tonic. "Because it's all games." Fiora leaned in, and her hands were clasped and her fingers were interlocked, uncommittingly so. I could unknot them if I wanted to. I was paying more attention to Fiora's body language than her actual language. "Because it's all games," she repeated. "Tom's Foolery is the exact kind of bar this town needs." "Why is that, Fiora?" "Because people in DC treat life so seriously." Fiora moaned. "Every day they pretend to make an impact at their entry-level job on Capitol Hill or at think tank industry, where in reality they're just paper pushers, or worse, they're running the whole fucking office, so they're actually creating more bullshit in the world. So, politicians? No. Not just politicians. Lobbyists, lawyers, quote-unquote, think tanks, men, she slammed, slamming her glass down. "Let's be honest, they're all men. They create bullshit at work, and then, after work, they make dinner plans and brag about the law they passed or the pamphlet they wrote, and the one, only 4 people will ever read it." I thought about Jack and Kevin, who wanted nothing more than to pass those laws and write those pamphlets. And if only they could have met Fiora. When they're at work, she continued, "They can't wait for dinner. medical science majors doing Capitol Hill internships, and the pre-med spending their time at Gentlemen's Library. And second, you have your sorority girls and your frat bros, who are even worse. At least the future dickheads stress over crap that matters to the outside world. The latest uproar in the Greek community was over Kappa who wore lime green flats to Sigma Chi formal. I'm serious. Not figurative, but literal shoes. You've got to give them credit though, because the almighty Panhellenic Council got involved and promptly squashed the controversy before the Greeks could even claim any usual human casualties. Thank God for authority, right? Sounds pretty dumb, I said. Fiora nodded. A bow for her spontaneous monologue. Brava. How am I supposed to pretend like nothing matters, though? I pleaded. These days it feels like every step I take is setting me up for the rest of my life. Fiora smiled and bounced off her seat, making her way to the chalkboard. She picked up a piece of chalk and drew a line, horizontal rectangle, from one end of the board to the other, dividing it into 8 squares. You see this row, she said. This is me. I walked up to the chalkboard and picked up a piece of chalk and drew something else. This is you, I said. Okay, smartass, just listen, I'm trying to make a point. Pretend that a long row of squares contains all of Fiora Budgeman, who I am, what I was born with, my hair, my brain, my lips, my eyes, my everything. Fiora drew 2 more squares onto that row. This is a new column. This one has 3 boxes. That's my parents. They were the first intersection, or rather the first piece of baggage life thrown onto my grid. She kept adding more rows and more columns, each one interesting than the last. This one's their divorce. This one's all of my dad's new wives. This one's the summer camp. Here's the junior council I ended up kissing there. This one's Trent, a handsome row of squares. She went on and on with even more squares until half of the chalkboard was sufficiently gridded. On the opposite end of the board, Fiora drew another long rectangle and divided it up into 7 squares. This guy is you, Zakit. You have parents, right? Fiora asked. My eyes leapt. She might as well asked if they were dead or alive. Yeah. Okay, good. So here's your parents, she said, drawing a row that intersected, first one like a cross, followed a bunch more rows and columns that intersected, and this is all the other shit in your life. Fiora drew one last row of squares to connect 2 clusters. And this, my friend, is where our paths intersected on that bus yesterday. You drew a crossword puzzle. Precisely, she replied. Fiora, the crucibalist, conveys the profound metaphor that her life is a puzzle, I said, using my finest sarcastic voice. Did Thomas Foolery have a sarcasm hour? I think you deserve a drink special. No, Zakit, I'm just explaining why I don't have my panties in an existential bunch like you do. She moved from the chalkboard and back to the table. Our lives aren't so different from a crossword puzzle, sure. But the thing about life is we don't get to draw the grid. We just take the rows and columns that we're given. Our bodies, parents, mental health issues, all of that. tweak it